Hello everyone, welcome to Sharmit. In this session, we are going to discuss about another very important property for border, that is border spacing. Okay, so in this session we will discuss what is border spacing property, what all possible values we can pass to this property, and what is the syntax or structure that we are supposed to follow in order to implement border spacing property. Okay, so by the end of this session, we will be able to answer all these questions, and we will proceed in the very simple way. Like firstly, I'll tell you the syntax structure, then we will perform some example, we will hit and try some different values, and we'll also see the output on the browser, right? But before we start the session, I would like to recommend you to please go and check out the previously released sessions first, because they all are in proper sequence and sync. So if you follow them sequentially, then it would be much more easier for you to understand the ongoing topic. Because for time being, we are just mainly focusing on how to use border spacing property. Okay, fine. So I think now we are good to start with the session. And here you can see the code is very simple and straightforward as of now, because we have just noted down one title in the head section, and there is one heading that shows CSS Cascading Style Sheets by Sharmit. So if you see the output of this, it is looking like this: CSS Cascading Style Sheets by Sharmit. Now what we are supposed to do here? So here we will put one heading which is H2. In heading we will put the topic name that we are going to cover today. So my topic name is border spacing. Okay, border spacing property. So we will write here property in CSS. Okay, now you can save it and refresh it. So after the refresh, you will see that border spacing property in CSS has been populated on a screen. Now, to implement this feature, or to implement or to demonstrate the border spacing property, I would need one picture. I would need one table, not picture, the table. Because with the help of table only I can show you how it works. So let's create the table, and that's why I was saying that if you don't know about the basic HTML, then you should first cover that, because right now you can see we are going to use the table. But don't worry, if you don't know about much about table, it's okay. I'll tell you uh, uh, the overview of the table, like how we are creating it, but you should know about it in detail as well, so you can simply refer the playlist. Okay, so let's go and create the table. So here I will use table element. In this table element we will put uh, firstly, like, we will put the border here because we want to create a border with the table. So let's put it as 1. Okay, now we are supposed to create the first row, so I will write here tr, which shows table row, and then we will put td, which shows table data. Here we will put some sample data. So let's say I want to create a row 1, col 1. And remember one thing, these values are not mandatory for you, right? You can use anything. It is up to you, like how you would like to define it. But in my case, I'm going to create like this. Okay, row 1, col 1. Similarly, we can add second data for this row, and third data for this row. You just need to change the value to col 2 and col 3. Instead of this row 1, col 2, you can put anything, any name, for example fruits name, player name, anything. It will work, but just to show you properly, that's why I'm providing all these things in a row and column terms. So let's save it and refresh the browser. So once we refresh the browser, we can see now the first row is populated on the screen of the table, where we can see first row and first column, first row and second column, first row and third column. Okay, fine. Similarly, we will create the second row. So for that, we will use tr here. In tr, we will put row 1, not 1, row 2, col 1. Okay, similarly, we will copy it, so just to save the time. Okay, there is one mistake. This data should be in the td, not in tr. So we have to write something like this. Okay, and let's keep it inside the td, not in tr, because tr is for table row and td should be there for defining the table data. Fine, now we have added this thing. Now it's time to add the second data for this row. So I'll simply copy it 2 times, and here we will just change the value for column, that is col 2 and col 3. Now you can save it and refresh it. So we can see now the second row has been added. Likewise, we will add the third row, and for that we will use here tr to define the third row. Then we will put here td. So just simply write here td. In td we will put row 3, col 1. Okay. Likewise, we will put another td, which is table data, and here we will put, or maybe we can copy it just to save the time, because our main topic is to use the table spacing, right? So I'll just quickly paste it 2 times, and here we just need to change the value for column, which is 2 and 3. Now you can simply save it and refresh the browser. So once you refresh it, you will see that row 1 col 1, row 2 col 2, and row 1 row 3 col 1. These are the values, right? So this data is just showing you how we have set the values. Now the requirement. Let's understand the requirement before learning about the concept. So requirement is that I want to maintain a space between these rows and column. So for achieving this thing, what we will do, we will use the border spacing. So let's go here, and for this purpose we are supposed to write CSS. You can go with any approach of CSS like inline CSS, internal CSS, or external CSS. But for now I'm just going to use the internal CSS. So you just need to write here style element, and in the style we will firstly select the selector. So in let's associate the ID first. So here I'll write ID as table 1. Now whenever you want to access this table in CSS, make sure to provide it in the same case, because this is case sensitive. So if I'm using table 1 here with capital T, so it should be table 1 throughout the style as well. Okay, in fact in the HTML as well. So let's use this ID, and to use the ID you are supposed to use hash symbol, then ID name, then opening and closing curly braces, then we are supposed to provide the border spacing. So here I can simply write border spacing. Now if I explain you the syntax and structure of this border spacing, so it mainly accepts two values. The first one is a border spacing that is related to, like if I explain you it in a simpler way, so you can simply say that it accepts two values. One is for the horizontal spacing and another one is for vertical spacing. But there is one thing, the first value is required, at least one value should be there, which is horizontal spacing, required one, which defines the space between the it defines the space between the columns. Okay, but if you are providing the second value, that means you are providing the vertical spacing, and in case of vertical spacing, which is the optional value, it defines the spaces between the rows. Okay, so if you are providing only one value, then it will add the space between. But here is one thing here, like if we omit the second value, in that case the value for the horizontal spacing will be used for both rows as well as column. So this is the tweak. Okay, so remember one thing, whenever you are providing the value, if you are providing one value, it will be considered for both. If you are providing two values, then it will be considered one as horizontal spacing and one as vertical spacing. So this is all about the theoretical thing. Let's see how we can implement this thing in a practical way. So let's say I want to add a spacing on both sides. So what I can do, I can simply put here 20 pixel, save it and refresh the browser. So now you can see 20 pixel has been added on the row, between the columns as well as between the rows. Okay. Likewise, if you want to increase the value, you can change it to 50 and accordingly it will show you the output. Now we can see spaces has been added, 50 pixel in between columns and 50 pixels between the row. Clear? But here there might be a requirement where we are not supposed to add the space in between the rows. So in that case you are just simply supposed to provide the here, like I can put 0 pixel. So what it will do now, it will simply add the 50 pixel between the columns but not between the rows, because for rows we have specified the 0 pixel. Okay, so you can see there is no space between the rows, but there is a 50 pixel space between the column. Okay, So this is how we are supposed to utilize the border spacing. And let's say if you want to change it to 10 pixel, means you want some pixels but not a 0. So in that case you can simply put 10 pixel. So in rows we have 10 pixels gap, and in between the columns we have 50 pixels gap. Okay, so yeah, that's how we can utilize the border spacing. And in this session we discuss what is border spacing, what all values we can pass, and as per the requirement you can change these values. Okay, so yeah, that's all for today. In the next session we will discuss few more things. So thank you for watching Tech Sharmit.